What if the difference between scraping by and building generational wealth came down to knowing which 10 plants are sitting on a gold mine, while most farmers walk right past them every single day? Right now, while conventional growers are fighting razor-thin margins on corn and soybeans, a quiet group of smart agricultural entrepreneurs is pulling in 6 and 7 figures from specialty crops that most people have never even considered planting. Some of these fit in a backyard. Some grow where nothing else will. And one of them, number 1 on this list, has turned patient farmers into millionaires without a single tractor payment. Today we're counting down the 10 most profitable plants every farmer needs to know about. Stay with me until number 1. It will change the way you look at your land forever. At number 10, we have lavender. And before you write this off as a boutique hobby crop, let me show you the real numbers. Lavender is one of the most diversified income plants in existence. A single acre in full production yields between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds of dried flower annually. Dried lavender bundles retail for $8 to $15 each at farmers markets and online shops, while lavender essential oil commands $60 to $120 per pound wholesale. The total gross revenue per acre ranges from $30,000 to $100,000 depending on your product mix. Here's what most people overlook. Lavender is virtually drought-resistant, perennial, and once established, it comes back for 15 to 20 years with minimal input costs. A farm in Washington's Sequim Valley turned 40 acres into a full agritourism operation, bringing in over $2 million annually through you-pick events, a distillery, and a product line. One plant, dozens of revenue streams, and we're just getting started. Now here is where the numbers get genuinely shocking. At number 9, we have saffron, the most expensive agricultural commodity on earth by weight, selling for $3,000 to $10,000 per pound. Yes, per pound. Saffron comes from the stigmas of the Crocus sativus flower, and each bloom yields just 3 tiny threads. It takes roughly 75,000 flowers to produce a single pound. That sounds insane until you realize those flowers grow in a space smaller than most suburban backyards. An eighth of an acre planted with saffron crocuses can yield a pound of dried saffron per season. At conservative market rates, that's $4,000 from a patch of ground the size of a tennis court. A small farm in Pennsylvania reported clearing $22,000 from less than half an acre in its 3rd production year. The labor is intensive during the 2 to 3 week harvest window, but the return per square foot is almost unmatched in agriculture. Almost. Moving deeper into the shade-grown world of high-value crops, number 8 is American ginseng, and this one has a secret that most farmers in Appalachia are only now waking up to. Wild simulated ginseng, grown under hardwood canopy in conditions that mimic its natural forest habitat, sells for $300 to $900 per dried pound on the export market, primarily driven by demand from Chinese buyers who prize American ginseng above all other varieties. The investment timeline is real. Ginseng takes 5 to 10 years to reach maturity, but here's the math that changes everything. 1 acre of mature wild simulated ginseng can yield 200 to 300 pounds of dried root. At $500 per pound average, that's $100,000 to $150,000 from a single acre of shaded hillside that's otherwise growing nothing profitable. A grower in North Carolina invested $12,000 in seed and preparation and netted over $90,000 at his first major harvest. Patience is the price of admission. The payout makes it worth every year. At number 7, we have moringa. And if you haven't heard this name yet, write it down right now. Moringa oleifera is a fast-growing tropical tree whose leaves, pods, seeds, and oil are all commercially valuable. The dried leaf powder alone sells for $15 to $40 per pound in the health supplement market, which has exploded past $4 billion globally and is still climbing. Here's what makes moringa extraordinary from a farming standpoint. In warm climates, it can be harvested multiple times per year and reaches productive maturity in less than 12 months. 1 acre can yield up to 8 tons of fresh leaves annually, which converts to roughly 1,600 pounds of dried powder. At $20 per pound wholesale, that acre is generating $32,000 per year. A small operation in Florida growing moringa for local health food stores and online direct sales reported clearing 45,000 ERs from 2 acres in their second full production year, according to agricultural extension data from several southern states. Moringa is now one of the fastest-growing specialty crop categories in the Southeast. As we climb toward the top of this list, number 6 might surprise you: bamboo. Not the invasive backyard nuisance you're thinking of. We're talking about clumping bamboo varieties grown intentionally for the landscape, nursery, and construction trades. A single potted bamboo specimen, a clumping variety like bambusa or fargesia, retails for $150 to $500 at garden centers and landscape suppliers. An acre planted with 1,500 container specimens can generate between $225,000 and $750,000 in gross sales over a 3 to 5 year production cycle. The input costs are low, the plants require minimal maintenance once established, and the demand from landscapers, privacy screen buyers, and sustainable construction companies is accelerating fast. A nursery operation in Georgia started with 2 acres and now supplies bamboo to commercial landscaping contractors across 3 states, generating over $400,000 annually. Bamboo isn't a weed. In the right hands, it's a printing press. Now let's talk about something happening right under the mainstream agricultural radar. At number 5, we have medicinal mushrooms: lion's mane, reishi, chaga, and shiitake. And the numbers here are extraordinary. The global functional mushroom market crossed $50 billion in 2023 and is projected to nearly double by 2030, according to multiple market research reports. Dried lion's mane sells for $20 to $40 per pound wholesale, and fresh lion's mane commands $12 to $25 per pound at restaurants and farmers markets. A single 10 by 12 foot growing space with properly managed substrate logs or grow bags can produce over 2,000 pounds of mushrooms annually. That's between $24,000 and $50,000 from a space smaller than a one-car garage. A homesteader in Vermont started with a $400 mushroom kit investment and scaled to a full indoor-outdoor operation generating $60,000 per year within 3 growing seasons. The startup costs are low, the learning curve is manageable, and the market is hungry. At number 4, we have hemp. And while the hype has cooled from its 2019 peak, the farmers who are still in the game are now the ones reaping the rewards. CBD-rich hemp flower sells for $150 to $300 per pound on the wholesale market for high-quality, lab-tested product. Fiber hemp commands lower prices but generates consistent volume income, while hemp seed oil presses into a product line with serious retail margins. The real money right now is in smokable flower and CBD isolate. A well-managed acre of CBD hemp can yield between 1,000 and 1,500 pounds of dried flower, generating between $150,000 and $450,000 gross per acre at the top of this market. A cooperative of farmers in Colorado averaging 2 acres each reported net profits between $40,000 and $80,000 per farm after processing and compliance costs. USDA crop data shows that licensed hemp acreage has stabilized into a more sophisticated, profitable tier of producers who understand the market. The Wild West is over. The professionals are getting paid. You might think that's impressive, but number 3 will show you what happens when difficulty becomes the ultimate market advantage. Vanilla, real vanilla, grown from Vanilla planifolia orchids, is the second most expensive spice in the world behind saffron. Pure vanilla extract sells for $200 to $600 per pound, with premium Tahitian and Madagascan varieties fetching even more. The challenge is that vanilla orchids require hand pollination, a specific humidity range, and 18 months from flower to mature bean. That difficulty is exactly why the profit is so staggering. A mature vanilla vine produces between 100 and 150 grams of dried beans per year. At current market rates, a serious greenhouse or shade house operation with 500 producing vines can generate between $50,000 and $90,000 annually. A small family operation in Hawaii, one of the few U.S. climates suitable for outdoor vanilla production, nets over $120,000 per year from less than 2 acres of carefully managed vines. The barrier to entry keeps the competition away. That's the whole point. At number 2, we have wasabi. And this is the crop that proves scarcity is the most powerful pricing mechanism in agriculture. Real wasabi, Wasabia japonica, is so difficult to cultivate outside its native Japanese mountain stream environment that over 95% of the wasabi served in restaurants worldwide is actually a mixture of horseradish, mustard, and food coloring. The real thing sells for $150 to $250 per pound, and high-end restaurants will pay almost any price to get it. The growing requirements are strict. Wasabi needs cold, clean running water, shade, and temperatures between 46 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit consistently. But controlled environment growers in the Pacific Northwest and parts of the Appalachian Highlands have cracked the code. A small commercial wasabi operation in Oregon, running a modest recirculating water system under shade cloth, reported revenues of $60,000 per year from just 800 square feet of growing space. That is not a misprint, 800 square feet. The market demand vastly exceeds domestic supply, and any farmer willing to master the conditions will find buyers lined up. And now, number 1. The crop that has quietly made more patient farmers wealthy than almost any other plant on earth. Truffles. Black Perigord truffles and white Alba truffles are the single highest value agricultural products in the world, with white truffles trading for $2,000 to $5,000 per pound and black truffles fetching $300 to $800 PET. Paneto, pound at wholesale. They grow underground in symbiosis with the roots of specific host trees, primarily oak and hazelnut, and they cannot be planted directly. They are cultivated by inoculating the roots of young trees with truffle spores and then managing the orchard for years until production begins. The timeline is long, 5 to 10 years before first harvest. But once a truffle orchard matures, it produces for 30 years or more. A 10-acre truffle orchard at peak production can yield between 100 and 300 pounds of black truffle annually. At $500 per pound average, that is $50,000 to $150,000 per year from 10 acres, with almost no annual input cost beyond orchard management. A truffle farm in Périgord, France, has been in the same family for 4 generations and now grosses over 600,000 euros annually. In North Carolina, early adopter truffle farmers who planted inoculated oaks in the early 2000s began harvesting in 2010 and have not looked back. The American Truffle Company reports that domestic production is still a fraction of demand, meaning prices remain sky high. Plant the trees. Wait. Then name your price. If you've made it to number 1, you're already thinking differently than 90% of the farmers out there. These aren't fantasy crops. They're being grown right now by real people on real land, some of it no bigger than a suburban lot, and generating the kind of income most agricultural operations only dream about. The common thread across every single one of these plants is the same. They reward knowledge, patience, and the willingness to move while everyone else is standing still. If this opened your eyes to what your land is actually capable of, subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started on what's possible. And before you go, check out the next video on your screen where we break down the 5 biggest mistakes new specialty crop farmers make that cost them their first profitable season. You don't want to learn those lessons the hard way. The most profitable farm isn't the biggest one. It's the one that knows what to plant,